Good.
Awesome.
So welcome to the Constitution. I am Petty Officer MacDonald. You folks can call me Katie. So I am Katie. So the USS Constitution is the oldest commissioned warship afloat in the world. What does that mean? Well, I'm going to break it down to you for you. The oldest, she is 213 years old. Now, a little fun fact to go along with that is right across the way over there, that is the U.S. Coast Guard station. Well, once upon a time, that was Edmund Hart Shipyard. Edmund Hart Shipyard is the exact spot where this ship was built and launched, and that's right over there. So I think that's pretty awesome that we were literally right across the way from where she was born. We had a problem with pirates. Now, these pirates weren't just any pirates. They were barbaric corsairs. Hired pirates. Hired from the governments of Morocco, Tunis, Algiers, and Tripoli. Now, these pirates, they were taking our merchant vessels, taking the ships, taking the vessels, or taking the people, taking the cargoes, and then ransoming it back to us for $1 million a year. Okay, so George Washington, he went to Congress. He's like, look, fellas, we have a problem, and I have a few solutions. 1, we can continue doing what we are doing and be bombarded by these pirates. 2, we can hire someone to protect us. Or 3, we can protect ourselves and we can build our own navy. Now, of course, we chose to what? 3, build our own navy, exactly. So now we have a navy, and that was with the Naval Armament Act. That was signed March 27, 1794, and that was giving us permission to build 6 frigates. This being number 3 out of those frigates. Now we have a navy.
Yeah, Warren
And if you're not on my tour, you need to make your way right back up to the gun deck, unless you're on the top deck, unless you're talking to that. So, welcome to the gun deck. Can anyone tell me why we call this the gun deck? Because there's guns down here. Now, these guns down here are 24-pound long guns. They don't actually weigh 24 pounds, but they actually weigh 6,500 pounds apiece. That is including the carriage that they are sitting on. Now, they recoil about 4 to 6 feet backwards, roughly about 35 to 45 miles per hour. They take anywhere between 9 to 14 men to man a single gun, and they have an effective range, maximum effective range of about 1,200 yards. We had about 450 to 500 sailors. With that being said, how many cooks do you think we had to feed them all? 1. So for those of you who said 1, you are correct. Now, imagine this guy. He's the oldest, saltiest dog there is. Maybe got 1 eye, maybe 1 arm, maybe 1 leg, or the combination of all 3. He would prepare 1 warm meal a day for these sailors. Now, this 1 warm meal wouldn't be the only meal they got. They did get 3 square meals a day, but they only got 1 hot meal a day. Now, with that hot meal, normally it would consist of a stew and a piece of bread. Now, their stew would normally consist of some rice, some beans, some dried vegetables if they had any on hand, and a salted meat. That salted meat would be either beef, fish, or pork. But before they could put the meat inside of the stew, they'd have to go all the way down to the bottom deck, which is what we call the orlop deck. They go down there, they dig through a barrel of salt. After they dig through that barrel of salt, they're going to pull out the meat, bring it up here, and they're going to put it in this tub right over here. That's the steep tub. Now, the steep tub, 24 hours prior, put the meat in there, and every 2 to 3 hours, they're going to change out the fresh water to try to get that salt out of there. Then from there, they bring it from that tub, they bring it up to that black house-looking object right back there. That's the ship's caboose or the ship's stove. That is where they prepare all of the meals. Now, once put into the stew, they get to eat it up, but they also get a piece of bread to go along with that stew. So when you guys think of bread, what is that first thing that comes to mind? Fake yeast, soft maybe, right? So, who here likes hockey?
Me.
Yeah? So, who here wants to eat a hockey puck? Because their bread was known as ship's biscuit, later known as hardtack, was double baked. No yeast, just flour and water. It's as hard as a hockey puck. Now, the only way the sailors could really thoroughly enjoy that bread is if they wrap it in their neckerchief. They're going to bang it on the overhead, they're going to bang it on the deck, maybe bang it on a gun, or maybe bang it on their neighbor. Whatever they can do to try to break it into a few pieces, that way they can crumble it up in their stew, or they might even take those pieces and stick it in the cheek of their mouth and let it soak in their saliva for about 20 minutes, just long enough to soften enough so that we don't have to worry about breaking what teeth they have left. Now, with that being said, we now have pretty much an idea of what they ate. Now they got a few beverages. What do you think those might be?
Beer.
Water. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Water.
I know water.
Okay, well anyways, water. So, this right here is a scuttlebutt. It's a double-butted barrel with a scuttle cut on top, or a hole. Now, this is where they receive their gallon to a gallon and a half ration of water a day. With that water, they had a few options. They could drink it, they could bathe in it, or they could wash their clothes. 9 times out of 10, they are going to choose to drink it. They're working in extremely hot conditions, normally anywhere between that temperatures of 80 to 100 degrees, if not hotter. And on top of that, they're working long hours, 20 hours a day, if not more, depending on what they need to take care of. So they want to stay hydrated. They don't care about how they smell. There's no women on board. They don't have anyone to impress, so who cares, right? So this is where they got their water. Now there's another beverage. What do you think that might be?
Beer. Alcohol. Milk.
Grog. I heard it. I was waiting for it. Grog. Grog. Grog is a concoction of either rum or whiskey mixed with equal parts or more parts water. Now, inside their grog, they might add some sugar or molasses in there for a little extra flavor, but they're definitely going to add in there some lemon or lime juice. Now, that's to help prevent scurvy, a vitamin C deficiency. More sailors would die of an illness than they would die in battle. So in order to help make their sailors happy and healthy, they put the medicine inside of their favorite beverage. It's kind of like the Mary Poppins theory. A spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. So they would get that from right back here, and they'd get a pint a day. Half a pint in the morning and half a pint at night. That's the grog tub right there. Oh, thank you, Vanna White. All right, so with that being said, we now have food, we have beverage, we've been working for 20 hours. What do we want to do now? Sleep. Sleep, right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to go down one more deck. We're going to go down to the berth deck.
Getting rich. Getting rich.
Hold on, we'll talk about this in a second. All right, folks, so I'm going to go ahead and continue talking now. So right down here is the berth deck. This is where they would do their berthing and messing, or their sleeping and eating. Now, as you see, there are hammocks down here. These hammocks are what they are, kind of a representation of what they would sleep in. The hammocks that they actually had were the ones where you lay in it and it wraps around you, kind of forming like a cocoon. But this just gives you an idea of what it is they would sleep in. Now, the enlisted sailors would sleep down here versus the opposite side where those wooden doors are back there. Back there is the ward's room. That's where all the officers would sleep. Now, officers versus enlisted. Officers would get about 8 hours of sleep. Enlisted would get about 4 hours of sleep. Now, in between the officers and the enlisted would be about 50 to 55 Marines. And then on top of that, all the way forward, right up there, that would be sick bay. So all the sick and injured sailors would be all the way forward on this deck, right next to the enlisted sailors. And the only thing keeping the healthy from the sick is a nice thin canvas curtain. So we all know the magical powers of canvas, right? You're not safe if you're sleeping right there. All right, so for the most part, that is what went on down here. Now, as you guys can tell, if without these fluorescent lights, it would be really dark down here. There's pretty much no outside light coming down here. These portholes on the side would be closed while they're out to sea because they don't want water, because we're pretty much right at the water line. Right where your feet are is right about where the water is. So that's pretty much everything that would go on down here. Now, before we go back up there, I'm going to give you guys a bit of an overview of the side of the hull. Now, who here thinks that the hull has actual iron in it? Anyone? No? Good. All right, so the hull is made out of 2 types of wood. We've got live oak and we've got white oak. Now, if you think of it like an Oreo cookie, what's the best part of an Oreo cookie? The middle, right? The cream filling? Well, our cream filling is the live oak. Live oak is 5 times thinner than any other oak. You put it in water, it's going to mostly sink. Now, that's our cream filling. We've got vertical beams going inside of our outside pieces, or our cookie pieces, which is the white oak. White oak is extremely buoyant and is not as dense as the live oak. You put it in water, it's going to mostly float. So, and those are those those horizontal beams that you see right in here, and on the outside, those horizontal.
What's your question?
What do they do in here?
What's your question?
Oh, that's where
That's where the officers were. And they have a list of all the Okay, up you go.
Why is there another Jessica
Stand there right next to the camera all together, guys. Noah?
Nations this time though. Now the year is 1812. The day is August 19th. We're off the coast of Nova Scotia. We're out there sailing around. Now while we're out there sailing, we see a few sails off on the horizon, but we don't know if they're friend or foe. Now, we do a little investigating. We can get closer. Now as we're investigating, we see that we're flashing a few signals. All of a sudden, we see them raise 3 British ensigns, signifying they want to challenge us to a fight. Well, we accept their challenge and we raise 4 American ensigns. Now, as we're still getting closer, we're going to go left, we're going right, we're going left, we're going right, we're going left. They fire on us. Those first shots actually fall short. They splash in the water. They don't even hit us. Now, we're well within range. These guns, remember, have about a 1,200-yard range. But we don't fire back. Now, we're still going closer and getting closer. And they're starting to fire on us to the point where we're starting to hear the pounding on the side of our hull. Let's say we're about 500 yards away now. Now, we're still hearing the pounding. But we've noticed that these shots aren't actually penetrating through. So a sailor sticks his head out of one of the gun ports to investigate. What he sees, that these shots are hitting the hull, bouncing off, or hitting the hull and sinking in and then rolling back out. He gets really excited. He comes back inside and shouts to the crew, "Huzzah! Her sides are made of iron!" From there, we got our nickname, Ironsides. Now, like I said, there are no iron in her sides. Captain Isaac Cole heard this and he said, "Ironsides, aye." So now we're going to go back to the battle, 400 yards. Still getting closer and still hearing the pounding. 300 yards. Still waiting for our captain to give us the word. 200 yards. Our captain says,
Fire!
"Stay true to your aim, boys! Stay true to your aim! Do not fire." For those of you who answered, that was a trick question. Just make sure you're paying attention. Do not fire. So, we're still waiting. 100 yards. 75 yards. 50 yards. 25 yards away. You can see the whites of their eyes. You can count how many teeth they have in their mouth or tooth. That is when Captain Isaac Cole says to the crew, "Now, boys, pour into her." From there, release a full broadside. A full broadside is every other gun firing, and in that full broadside, we take down the Guerrière's mizzen mast, her aftmost mast. Now it's trailing behind them. They're trying to go left, but they're being pulled right. At this time, we think it's a great idea for us to maneuver called crossing the T. In crossing the T, you take your ship in front of the other ship, you make what looks like a T, you get the wind gauge, or the power of the wind over the other ship. Well, being a fairly new crew at the time, what ended up happening is we ended up fudging it up a little bit. We crossed into them, and we got entangled in their rigging. Normally, that is not a good thing whatsoever, but it worked out for us, because as we pulled away and we broke free, we took down the Guerrière's foremast and her mainmast, leaving the Guerrière completely mastless. She is now a demasted sailing vessel, and what is that?
Sitting duck.
All of the above, nothing, dead in the water, sitting duck. She's not going anywhere. So, they surrendered. Now, we take the remaining crew off of their ship, bring them onto our ship, salvage what we can from their ship and bring it onto our ship. And then from there, we light her ablaze and we sink her on spot because we can't do anything with her, so what else are we going to do? We're just going to light her up. So, that is one battle out of 33. And out of 33, we are 33-0. We are undefeated. Some even call us Boston's only undefeated team. But on a serious note, I want to say thank you to all of you right now, because this is the conclusion of my day.
I took a picture with you too.
Yeah.